Well, good evening, everybody. This is Ron Wheeler, or good late afternoon, depending on where you're joining me from. We're going to start the formal presentation in about 5 minutes, but I always like to turn the meeting on and just make sure that everything's working as far as the technology goes. Sometimes you never know. We have technology issues, so I always want to make sure that everything is working. Do me a favor, if you can hear my voice, see my screen, and by the way, you should see me in the upper right-hand corner, I think, of your screen. I've got my camera turned on, so as you can kind of see in the background, I'm doing this from my home office, and I'm going to do that from here. So, hey, everybody, it's, I'll even show you my phone. Look, it's a live class. It's a live class, 5:56, October, whatever. That's my wife, by the way. She's the background on my phone. But good to have all of you with us. If you can see my screen where it says on air, and if you can hear my voice, just give me a quick shout out in the chat window and just say yes, and that way I know that everybody is operating good. All right, I see the yes is starting to pour in there. Just a few people: Josie, David, Patrick, Muriel. Good to have you with us. And there's a bunch of others that kind of flew by that I can't exactly read out because that thing flies by and I just can't go back in time to see everybody. A couple more pictures. Got Mark, Eduardo. If I said Oscar, welcome to you. Harmohan, if I pronounced your name right, I hope I did. Welcome to you as well. And Peter, good to have you with us as well. So I'm just kind of giving some shout outs here. All right. So as I said, we're going to be getting started in about 3 minutes or so, but I want to make sure the technology is working. It looks like it is. So I'm just kind of curious, what time is it by you? I kind of made the joke earlier that if you look at my phone, it's 5:57, October 18th on my side. I'm actually in Ohio. VectorVest has offices in Ohio and in North Carolina, and I'm one of the only education guys that's in Ohio. All the other guys that you might talk to at VectorVest are all in North Carolina. So I'm up here by my lonesome. I was born and raised, or I should say I am a born and raised Ohioan. So always always lived here and always probably will, except for when I retire. So it's about 5:57. So I see a lot of folks also at 5:57. A couple Californians out there coming up on 3 p.m. Anybody out there from across the sea, Europe, Asia? We always get a few in there. David, I see you're from Canada, so you're our first international that said. Um, 3 p.m. on Mark. So I guess Canada. We had a gentleman from Poland in here earlier today. That was pretty cool for my previous session. Well, good. Good to see a lot of folks here in the 6 o'clock time frame, and then a couple of you in the Pacific. I see a couple of you guys in the Central, where it's coming up on 5 p.m. in the Chicago time frame. Good to have all you guys with us as well. All right. Well, let me ask you another question. What do you do for a living? Are you retired? Are you still working? I just like to know because we originally designed this course and really marketed it for the retiree, but here I am, I'm 47 years old. This is the main way that I trade and invest nowadays. And I'll talk a little bit more about my history later on as we get more into the curriculum. But I'm just kind of curious. You still working? You retired? What's the jealous? Josie, I see you and Mark both still working. I see a couple of you. Mark's retired. Ed's retired. Almost retired. I love it. Retiring this year. I'm jealous. I wish I could retire, but it's not to be. I was born to be retired, as I always say. Born to be retired. David, you're also semi-retired. Eduardo, working. John, retired. Charlie, investment advisor. Awesome. Always, I love it. I love it when I get investment advisors and stuff in these classes because it just means you're always looking for another edge. I love it. I've taught in my 26-year career, I've taught a lot of folks from banking institutions and all kinds of stuff. And I love it because they're always looking for another edge to provide. So it's a cool thing. All right. We're going to get started here. You know what? It looks like the clock just turned 6 o'clock Eastern time. So give me a second here. So let's officially get started. I want to welcome all of you to today's webinar. It's called The Options Paycheck, and it features how to generate 3% per month with one option trade per week. Now, today's webinar, I'm going to be showing you the system that I developed here at VectorVest that's going to help you generate income in any market. Now, the information I'm going to share with you not only has changed my life and my trading style, but I've seen it change the lives of so many people. So hopefully you're excited about it as well. Now, I do have a couple questions for you before we get officially started with the whole presentation. Since we're talking about an income system today, okay, what I want to teach you is a high probability, low risk income approach. That in mind, what kind of expectations do you have for that kind of approach? Are you expecting 50% a year? Are you expecting to beat inflation? What is your ultimate expectation of a low risk, high probability income system? Just kind of curious. I really like to ask these questions because I want to make sure that not only we're on the same page, but I want to make sure that you have something that I can deliver. Well, Mark F is first, and he says beating inflation would be great for me. What is inflation actually? Like it says, 7%, 6%, 5%, but let's be honest, it's probably 15 or 20 if you count all the things that are really important. 15%, I see 20%, 18%. A lot of you guys are chiming in now. 15. Everybody seems to be in that 15 to 20% bracket. That's great. Kent, you are as well. Mark K, a different Mark, and then Mark S. Wow, a lot of Marks in here tonight. Mark K is 5 to 6 in the CD, so 20 to 30% per year. I like it. 12 to 15% Mark S. All right, awesome. Listen, I don't see anything that you guys are asking for that's unreasonable. To be fair, I don't. And then if we can provide what you're looking for, how long do you think it would take you to learn it and then actually implement a system that could get you those results? What are your expectations to how long it would take to learn and then implement something like that? And again, my goal here is just to make sure that I can promise, and I can deliver what you're looking for. And if not, it's cool. I just want to make sure. 6 months, Mark, 8 weeks, and the next 30 to 60 minutes, Mark, maybe a little bit, maybe a little longer than there. Kent, I'm still trying. I see a couple people, and hey, if it takes me a year, it takes me a year. I like that. Well, there wasn't a couple people. That was just Frank. If it takes me a year, it takes me a year. I just want to learn how to do this forever. I love the attitude there. All right, great. A month, 1 to 3 months. Okay, great. Except for immediately, you're all in the right place. I wish I could do it that quick. Actually, I can do it that quick if you really want to know. We'll talk about that later. But I can actually teach you a system that works pretty darn well. As long as you're, as long as you have a little bit of knowledge, I can actually teach you a system that works pretty good. But we'll talk about that a little bit more later. All right. Well, my promise to you today is simply this. I'm going to show you how you can begin making a paycheck that averages around 3% per month, or sometimes even more. Now, that figure is based on the fact that our portfolio and our returns historically have done that using some of our most basic income strategies. So we've been able to do this. Now, keep in mind, this can be done regardless of market direction. So bull or bear, it doesn't matter. If you have no experience with options, it's okay. We can teach you from the ground floor. This is safer than simply buying a stock or selling short a stock. You can implement it quickly. So the information I'm going to share with you today can allow you to really have a worry-free retirement or just create a second income stream. Now, I know it sounds too good to be true, and you might be thinking, well, is this legit? And you want some proof. Well, I would too if I were you. I see those overhyped announcements and Instagram and all these young people trade crypto and do this and, look at my jet and my fancy car. Listen, that's not how real trading and investing works, okay? It's not. I've been in this game for a long time. That's BS. I like to let the results stand for themselves and let you decide. This is the result of a very simple system that we use based on the S&P 500 index. It's one trade. It takes no more than 15 minutes a week. If you started with a $5,000 account back in 2016, you would have gained over $17,000 at this point, a 350% return over the last 7 years. That average is about 4.5% per month. Now, that's with $5,000. What if you have 50? We'll add a zero to everything. The cool thing is what we teach scales. So if you're just starting out and only want to throw 10 grand at this, or if you want to throw 100 at it, it works. Now, keep in mind that it doesn't always go up. I recall reading from, what was the guy's name? Harry Markopoulos, who busted Madoff. He's like, why did you know that Madoff was a scam? He's like, because I saw his results and his results were like that. That's not how it works. Well, that's not how our results work either. You can see we have our ups and we have our downs, and we have our ups and downs and ups and downs and ups and downs and up. That's how a real trading strategy works. So this is simple over the last 7 years or so. All right. There's going to be periods where it goes sideways, but overall, when you stick to it, it continues to grow over time. Now, some of my clients were kind enough to share their photo and their results with you, and we'll talk more about a few of them today. These are real people just like you. So, as I teach you the system today and share their stories, I want you to pay close attention because you might find yourself in a very similar position now as they were when they started. Now, my name is Ron Wheeler. I'm the options and income coach here at VectorVest. I've been trading now for 26 years. When I first started, like a lot of people, I had trouble. I didn't make any money when I first started. It took me a couple of years to get profitable. I even lost a few of my trading accounts in the process. Now, I was losing money because, like most people, I was trading in a way that required me to be right in order to make money. That means I was a commodities trader, by the way, when I first started. If I bought something, it had to go up. If it went sideways or down, I lost. If I sold something, it had to go down. If it went sideways or up, I lost. Then, once you figure out direction, you got to figure out money management. I don't want to have winning trades that pay me 100 and losers that lose me 500. It doesn't work well. So it was a big hurdle to become profitable as a trader. And I had a lot of advantages. I worked in the technology sector for a company that created trading algorithms. I had the best traders in the world teaching me how to do this. And I still struggled at the start. Okay. Now, I was a commodities trader for a few years. I finally became successful at it. Now, probably about 5 years into my trading career, one of our clients who was a hedge fund manager came to our office and gave me a lecture about options. He's like, Ron, I know you don't like options, but let me show you what we do here. This is kind of the institutional way of trading options. And long story short, he showed me how you use options to create higher probability trade setups. That means if I think something's going to go up, he showed me an option strategy where if it didn't go up, I could still make money. And better yet, these trades were fixed risk. So I knew the risk up front. I knew the risk of loss, the gain, and no matter what happened in the market, I knew I couldn't lose over a certain amount of money. That really nails the two hurdles of being a trader and investor. You're taking direction out of it a little bit, and now you're locking in money management. So I kind of stored that in my memory bank, and probably about 15 years ago now, it's been a long time, I really started to open up and become more of an options trader. And over the last 10 years, I've really devoted about 99% of my trading into options. And that's what I'm going to share with you today. That journey that I was on and how I created and came up with this option paycheck concept and how I use it today. So I'm going to show you that exact system that I use to generate those types of returns. I'm going to give you some case studies and examples of our clients who are doing the same thing and following the system. I'm going to show you the systems that you can learn and follow the strategies. You can do everything the same way. And I'm going to prove to you that our options paycheck system will get you better returns, safer than simply trading stocks or even just buying options alone. Now, stay with me to the end because I put together a great checklist to help you plan out your trades. It's a PDF. We'll put it right in the handout section to go to webinar. I'll drop it right in on there. You can click on it and you can print it out today. Just remind me when we get towards the end because oftentimes I forget about it after talking for an hour. Now, why is the whole idea of income important? Well, if you don't have an income system, it's on you, and that creates a number of problems. If you're not retired, it keeps you stuck in a situation where you have to continue to work in order to live. Whether you got a lot of money or no money at all, concerns about finance are one of the leading causes of stress. Worrying about whether we'll have enough or if we're going to run out of money, that can have a huge impact on your life, your health, your relationship. If you're already retired, you might be watching your savings get depleted faster than you can fill it, especially with the way the inflation is today, right? If things don't improve, you may have that fear of continuing to have those losses that draw down your capital. You're going to get behind on your goals, maybe even question your ability as an investor. You might even fear that you'll have to give up on investing and go back to work. Worst case scenario, you run out of money during retirement. Now, with a system to help you generate income, things are a lot different. And I think this is probably the most important point of the webinar. So pay close attention, write it down. If you want to be financially free, you need income. But to be financially free, you have to learn to generate enough income from your investments to cover your expenses and lifestyle needs. So I'll say it again. In order to become financially free, You need to learn to generate enough income from your investments that'll cover your expenses and lifestyle needs. Now, whether you're still working or if you're retired, the ability to generate income from your investments is one of the most empowering skill sets you can have. Because when you have the ability to generate income from your investments, your life will change. If you're still working, you can increase your earning capacity. It's like having a second job. If you're retired, you can have a consistent source of income as if you quit your job, but they just kept paying you. It's like a tap you can turn on whenever you want. This is going to allow you to do the things you want to do now and when you retire. When you got a system to help you generate income, it can help you retire younger. Now, as I said before, this is one of the most important points of the presentation, so I'll say it one more time. When the income from our investments exceeds our living expenses, we become financially free or have the ability to retire. For example, Brian is a client of ours who's a great example of how easy you can become proficient at drawing an income from the market, even if you don't have a lot to start with. Brian said he had some health problems and needed a way to supplement his income. He said by using the options paycheck system, he used that SPX actually, the one that I showed you with that 350% return. He was able to generate $23,000 in profit starting with just $6,000. He had 100% winning trades in 10 months, 31 of 31. Now, this is not beginner's luck. It's the result of following a good system. The system helped him get those 31 out of 31 winning trades and create that $23,000 in profit in that 10 months. Now, the first thing you got to do, if you want to take control of your returns, it's a bit of a strategic mindset shift. You're either going to continue being a gambler where you lose more than you win, or, and this is the key point, we're going to teach you how to become an option seller where you can win more than you lose. Being an option seller is the way that you can make consistent income each month. And this is what allows you to win even if you're wrong. Now, why do you want to go from being the gambler to being the house or casino? Well, the house always wins in the end. The reason why they win is because they control and they stack probability in its favor. Our options paycheck system is built around you stacking the odds massively in your favor. So make a note of this. In order to control your returns and results, you need to know how to stack probability in your favor. And that starts with the shift from being a buyer of options to being the seller. So let me explain. Bruce is a great example of shifting from that gambling on stocks to being in the casino and controlling and stacking probability in his favor. He said prior to working with us, he had mainly taken stock tips from his broker. He focused on our SPX income system, which is our most basic trading system, as he's not the most technical person in the world. But in the time he's been working with us, he's grown his trading account from $100 to $497,000 in 3.5 years. He said he's achieving a 74% win percentage simply by following the rules of the options paycheck system. And the whole system takes him around 15 minutes a day. So let me show you how this works. Here's an example of a typical trade that you've been taught to make. You find a stock you like, you think it's going to go up. So you either buy shares of the stock or maybe you buy a call option. Why do you buy a call option? Because that's the most basic options trade. A call gives you the right to buy the stock if you want to. So if you think a stock's going to go up, you buy a call. Well, what ends up happening a lot of times? Well, maybe the stock doesn't go up. That happens. You were wrong. You picked a bad stock. Here's another one that's really tough. The stock goes up, but it doesn't go up enough. So you got direction right, but it didn't go up enough for you to make money on it. And that option ends up expiring worthless. Has it ever happened to you? That's why I was not a real big options fan when I first started trading. There's nothing worse. It's hard enough to try to pick something that's going to move in the right direction. But then when you do it and you still don't make money, that's debilitating. Well, what's the problem that causes you to lose? A lot of people feel like, okay, well, I picked the wrong stock. I got to get better at it. Well, for the option trader, maybe they say, well, I just picked the wrong strike price of the option, or maybe I chose the wrong expiration. Well, fine. But let's talk about the real problem. If you've been losing money or had more losers than winners with other systems, it's not your fault. It's because most of the systems on the planet teach you to be on the wrong side of the trade. You're taught to buy an option. But as a buyer, the probabilities are not on your side. And for most people, they end up buying and losing and buying and losing and buying and losing. Our options paycheck system teaches you a new way of thinking. You need to be a seller and not a buyer. That's how you get ahead of everyone else. That's how you put probability on your side. It's how you win even if you're wrong. So let's take a closer look at selling options. Now, as a buyer, a typical trade gives you a 50-50 chance to be a winner, right? Because when you buy something, the only way you make money is if the stock or the market moves in your direction. But we're going to have, instead of a buyer's mentality, a seller's mentality. So instead of hoping the stock goes up, as a seller, you're going to strategically set up your trade using probability because probability tells you where the stock is not likely to go. So you've got a stock here that's $204 a share. Instead of just being 50-50, I can pick a price, say at 195, that says, hey, as long as this $204 stock stays above 195 for the next couple of weeks, I can make money. I now have a 60% probability of that occurring. Think about what that does. I think the stock's going to go up. If it does, I win. But if the stock goes sideways now, I still win. If the stock comes down, I still have room to win. If it goes down too far, I can exit this trade like any other trade with a small proportional loss. Right at the beginning, we're setting up the trade with probability. And in some cases, we can even choose more probability. So now you've got that 204 stock. Now we pick 190. As long as over the next couple of weeks, this stock stays above 190, I have a 70% chance of making money. Okay? You're putting the odds of success in your favor. It's not an indicator. It's using statistics and math. No indicators needed here. Okay? This is the definition of an income trade. An income trade is one where you can make money even if you're wrong on direction. I think it's going to go up, but if it doesn't, I can still be profitable here. That's why I call this income trading. Now, Bruce, by the way, continues to trade with us every week. Right? He said, he posts on our private Facebook group, another day of trading on the beach. Got my eyes on AMC. That's a meme stock from this year. We've made a lot of money on that stock. Life's good. Thank you, VectorVest and Ron, for giving us the tools to do what we do from anywhere. That is a great picture of financial freedom. Now, another one of our clients is Mike. He's somebody that dabbled with options, but said he lost on each one of his trades. Have you ever been there? Can you imagine how frustrating that must be to lose on each trade? Well, eventually he just gave up. He went back to the books, but he said he never felt comfortable knowing what he was doing. He had all this options knowledge, but no set criteria of when and how to use it. So Mike and I worked together. I taught him the options paycheck system of being an option seller, and he said immediately he became an income machine. After he learned the system, he had 17 out of 19 winning trades and had a profit of over $12,000 in 4 months. The key lesson is going from that buyer mentality or the gambler to seller of the house. It turned his situation around immediately. He was so proud of his success, he even sent me a spreadsheet of his trades. Take a look at the profit column versus the loss column. Take a look at how many days it took for his trades to come. He's basically pulling in about $1,000 every 7 to 10 days, and that's typical. Okay? And remember, if you're like Mike and most of our students, you could begin trading the S&P 500, which is an index that tracks the S&P. It involves one trade per week and has averaged about 4.5% per month since 2016. The odds are stacked in your favor on these trades. You're not looking for one big home run to trade to become a millionaire overnight. You're growing your account steadily each year. And that's really the key takeaway. We're not looking for home runs. Home runs look good, but singles and getting on base are what wins the games. These singles are what will enable you to never run out of money and be able to do all the things that you want to do. So you've seen by simply flipping from buyer to seller, you can stack the odds significantly in your favor. Now what we're going to do is stack them even further by understanding and capitalizing on the 3 most common buyers or gamblers' mistakes. So as an option trader, mistake number 1 is people just choose an unrealistic strike price. They choose option strikes that are so far away, the stock has no chance of hitting it. Let me give you an example. Here's a stock. Now let's say you're bullish on the stock. A mistake a lot of option buyers make is they buy a call way up above the stock price, right? Basically, what they're saying is this. Well, the stock is 215, and I want to make money if the stock goes to 230. The stock has to go up $15 a share before you really make any money. Why would somebody do that? Well, they do it because those options up there are very inexpensive. You might be able to buy one of those options for 50 bucks. This is a $200 stock, and you're buying a $50 option. It's like a lottery ticket, man. The problem is, like the lottery, most of the time you're going to lose. These options are cheap for a reason. The problem is, too many buyers treat those options like lottery tickets. Now, listen, since there's always going to be those buyers out there playing the lottery, right? We're going to be the one who sells those options to them. Because when they buy an option that has a very low probability of them making money, we have a high probability of making money. Okay? Now, the same goes for puts. Let's say that same person thinks the stock's going to go down. Instead of buying a put with a strike price near the strike price, the stock price would be near the strike price, that would be expensive. They go out there and say, well, I'm going to buy a $200 put. Well, now the stock has to go down $17 a share before they see really any major profits. Why would you do that? It's because they're cheap. Now, there's people down there that will also buy those puts because they own the stock and they want to protect their investment. Thumbs up. That's a good reason why you do it. However, they need somebody to sell them those options, and that's me. By selling those options, I'm going to get a 60 to 90% probability of success in my trades. That's the beauty. Now, the second mistake that a lot of buyers make is they buy options that are way too close to expiration. It's like if you ever went grocery shopping and you see a bunch of steak. One is extremely discounted, but you look at the expired date and it's today. Well, yeah, if you go home and cook that steak, you got a hell of a bargain. But if you're going to put it in your refrigerator, it's going to get rotten and you might as well just throw it away. It's going to expire worthless. Hence, the same for options. So what you're seeing here is you're seeing how an option loses value as it gets closer and closer and closer to expiration. In the upper left, you're 6 months from expiration. In the lower right, you're at expiration. The option has lost all of its time value. But if you notice, and I'll just put a line right here, bear with me a second, right there. In the first 135 days, the option loses about half of its value. Very slow decline. But in that last 45 days, it loses the other 50% of its value. That's terrible for the option buyer. The option is declining at an exponential rate of decay. So what we're going to do is we're going to use that and we are going to sell in that window instead of buying. Now, why would an option buyer want to buy there? Because again, the options are cheap. It's that lottery mentality. That's it. Now, if you want specifics, we are going to sell options that are 21 to 45 days of expiration. This is going to give us typically about a 7 to 10 day trade. How does that work? Well, we're not taking these trades to expiration. We're only going to be in the trades for a week, week and a half, and we're going to see our profits and leave. Okay? But we want to make sure there's enough premium that we can collect. Let me give you an example. This is Home Depot. You think the stock will go up. So what do? You go out and buy an option, maybe it expires in about 45 days. Well, the problem is, even if that stock starts to go up, the time decay is eating into the option premium. You're fighting that, right? It's like trying to run uphill. You're fighting that time decay. Why fight it? Put it in your favor as an option seller. There's always going to be people out there buying options that have expiration dates too close. You may as well be the one who sells it to them. Let them be the gambler. The gambler needs the casino. You got a great opening here to make money. Now, the last mistake I want to talk about is one that a lot of option traders don't know. This is kind of I don't want to say it's like an industry secret. It's not. It's something that you should know, though. They simply pay too much for options. They're buying what are called overpriced options. Let me explain. You've got two stocks, both around the same price. In fact, they're within like 12 cents of each other. But even though these stocks are the same price, Look at the option price. Over on the left, you've got an option that's $910. Over on the right, you got one that's 180. Same strike, same expiration, same stock value, right? Why is one 4 times more expensive? It's because that trade on the left has extremely high volatility. The implied volatility on that option is extremely high. Now, who cares, right? What's the big deal? This is the big deal. Let's say that both of those stocks go up $8 a share. I want you to think about this. If you bought 100 shares of each stock, you just made $800 a piece. But why buy the stock when you can buy an option? High leverage, limited risk. I'm with you. Let's buy the option. Well, if you bought both of those calls, you'd have actually lost money on that one on the left. That trade, even though it went up $8 in your favor, that option did not gain any value. Whereas over on the right, you bought an option and you made about 4 times your money. That's a beautiful win. Why did that option on the left not gain value like the one on the right? It's because of that high volatility. You bought an option that was too expensive. Now, what's the advantage? Well, just like any other option buyer's mistake, the sellers take advantage. I'm going to seek out those overpriced expensive options and I'm going to sell them. Why? Because when I sell those expensive overpriced options, it can give me more probability and I have less monetary risk on every one of my trades. It's a lower financial risk. Okay? You're stacking probability even more. Another one of our clients, Bob, he's got one of the more interesting stories I've seen. He said prior to working with us, he was making a ton of the mistakes we talk about here, and it cost him dearly. In fact, he ended up either broke or bankrupt 3 times. In his own words, he said he came close to living under a bridge. The options paycheck system helped Bob turn his situation around in as little as 4 months. He learned to turn these mistake liabilities into strategies that control and stacked probability in his favor. He said in 4 months, he grew his account by 71% and achieved a 79% winning trade percentage. Remember, if you want to stack and control returns and build that probability, okay, you gotta learn how to sell options. Now, let me ask you this. For those of you that have traded options before, have you ever made any of those buyer's mistakes? Do me a favor, type a yes or a no in the chat window. And let me know, by the way, if you've never traded options before, let me know that too. I'm kind of curious. And also, while you're typing in there, if you've never traded options before, don't be intimidated. You might look at this and not understand 100% of what I'm talking about here. The best way I can describe this is this. You know, I play golf. I wish that I could go back and forget everything I know about golf. Go to a professional and learn how to play the game properly from the ground floor. I can't do that anymore. I've been playing golf for too long. I got to try to work out all my bad habits. If you've never traded options before, you don't have any of these bad habits. I can work with you and teach you how to do this right. That's the key. So for those of you that are beginners, no worries. Okay, no worries. So like for Josie, never traded options, or David, yeah, we can work with that. John, Charlie, David, okay, perfect. All right. Now, what we've got to do next, you know you want to be an option seller, hopefully, but let's look at how to trade with very little risk. When a lot of people hear the word options, and especially the term selling options, they think it's risky. However, the options paycheck system uses a very low risk strategy for selling options. And this is why it's a core strategy we teach our retirees. Now, why is reducing risk so important? Well, if for those of you that have some options experience, you may have heard of selling options before, but every time I talk about selling options, somebody always got to be the Debbie Downer. Well, Ron, you know, I heard of people doing this and they had all kinds of winning trades, just like you said, but then one trade came in, wiped out all the winners. And listen, that's a valid concern. That's a valid concern because when you do this incorrectly, that can happen. But here's the best part. This is so easy to avoid. I've never had this happen to me because I won't take trades where that's possible. It's as simple as that. Remember early on when I talked about learning how to be an option seller and I talked about how the risk is known up front? you don't take trades where this can happen. You know the risk up front. You know the most you can lose and the most you can make. You just don't take a trade like this. Because if you do and that happens, it becomes very hard to recover your losses. Okay? In order to limit that risk, you got to have a built-in protection plan. You're going to take care of risk management before you open the trade. It's your primary job. Because if you do it right, you're going to be able to select and set up your trades in a way that reduces risk. This is going to help you preserve and grow your capital. Now, like I said earlier, home runs look good, but singles are what wins the game. Now, another one of our clients is John, and we get this question a lot. Ron, can I do this in an IRA? Well, yes, it's called a limited margin IRA. I actually trade my S&P 500 trades in an IRA. So yes, you can trade these in an IRA. A client of ours, John, he grew his IRA over 100% in 1 year using our options paycheck system. He tried and struggled with trading for some time before working with us. He learned to follow the system and turned his inconsistent results into predictable monthly income. He said in 12 months, he enjoyed an 85% winning trade rate and more than double the size of his IRA. And this is his words. He said he spent no more than 15 minutes per day on his trading. Now, the options paycheck system makes sure you reduce your risk before you even open the trade. First, we choose stocks that are low risk. We have a very specific criteria, but in general, if we're bullish, we focus on good stocks that are already rising in price, similar to what you would see here. Then, instead of selling an option naked, we're going to sell with protection. So let me show you how to do that. If you just sell an option, you're left with all of this risk. When you sell an option, it's not like when you sell a car and you sign the title over and you give it to somebody else and you're done. When you sell an option, it's the equivalent of an insurance company selling you an insurance policy. Yes, in a perfect world, when I buy my insurance, I don't have any accidents or any claims. The insurance company keeps my premium and we all go on with our lives. They provided me protection. I had insurance. We're all happy, right? Well, selling an option is the same thing. All right. When I sell an option, I may have to buy the stock or may have to sell the stock, but I don't want to do that. So naked selling is bad. If this stock all of a sudden plummets down $50 a share, you may be left holding the bag for a huge loss. One bad trade wipes out a bunch of winners. We don't want that. So what we need to do is lock in the maximum we can lose. Shrink that risk down to this level. Okay, so let's look at how this works. This again is a graph of a typical stock I'd like to be bullish on. It's a beautiful graph, so it's understandable to be bullish on a stock that looks like this. Now, traditionally, people would buy the stock here. Okay, remember, you're not buying anymore. You're the seller. So here's what you're going to do. If you think a stock will go up, you are going to go underneath the price of the stock and you are going to sell a put. Now, when you sell a put, you receive premium. You're selling something, so you get paid for it. So in this case, the stock's at like 138. I sell a 135 put. I get paid $200 per contract. If I traded 10 contracts, I'd get paid $2,000. Now that's great. Problem is, you have no downside protection in case the stock drops. The absolute worst thing that can happen if you sell a put is you might be forced to buy the stock. What happens if the stock drops all the way down to $100? You may be forced to buy the stock at $100 a share. That's terrible. Okay. Now, keep in mind, I've been trading options for 15 plus years. I've never actually had to buy stock or sell stock or any of that stock stuff. Okay. But you still need to have that protection. What we're going to do is when we sell that put, all right, we're going to buy some downside protection. We're going to use a built-in protection plan by buying a put at the same time. We're going to sell that put. We're going to get paid $200. We're going to buy a put as insurance, and that's going to cost me $100. I'm going to get paid $100 to place this trade. And now I've limited my risk to just this amount. The absolute worst that can happen here is this. I'm forced to buy the stock at 135, and now I can sell it to somebody else for 130. I've locked in a $5 loss. That's the worst that can happen. By the way, that's never happened to me. In 15 years of trading, it's never happened to me. Okay? Now people say, why would you buy insurance if that's never happened to you? Because that insurance makes it easy to trade this, and it also is a downside hedge. So if the stock goes against you, that put that you bought is actually going to help you lessen the loss on the trade. So you're going to get paid $100 to place this trade. Now, remember what this does. And by the way, if you trade at 10 contracts, you get paid $1,000. That means on this trade, the most I can make now is $1,000. Nothing wrong with that. If the stock goes up, you profit. We enter the trade on a Monday. Typically, it's 7 to 10 days later. We exit the trade, take our profits, we're done. We don't let the trade go to expiration or anything like that. What happens if the trade goes sideways? That's okay. Because of time decay, we still make our money. What happens if the stock goes down? Well, we have a buffer to be wrong. As long as it stays above that 135 price, we still have the chance to make money. But if it goes below 135, we are going to exit the trade. It's a stop, just like you would have in any other trade. If I bought 100 shares of this stock at 138, and I said if it goes down to 135, I'm going to exit, you wouldn't think twice about that. Options are the same thing. If it goes down too far, we're going to exit the trade and take a small proportional loss. Now, what I want to do is I want to show you a couple of trades that I made this year with my students. All right? I'm going to set up a couple of these trades. So pay attention. I'm going to show you some numbers here. Now, when the market is bullish, we're going to be placing bullish income trades. All right? So we trade in accordance with the market direction. I am very, very bearish right now, by the way, which is good because the market was down like 60 points today on the S&P. I have a lot of bearish positions on right now because the market's in a downtrend. But when it's in an uptrend, I go bullish. Now, little quick tip for you. We're going to be picking strikes that have at least a 60% chance of winning. At least. Sometimes we'll go more. Sometimes we'll go a lot more. But it's going to at least have a 60% chance of giving me a winning trade. Now, this is Pulte Holmes. Earlier in my class at 2 o'clock or at 12 o'clock, I said it was Philip Morris. No, Philip Morris is PM. PHM is Pulte. This was in a nice uptrend into mid-June of this year. I like the stock. The market was in an uptrend before this last decline. Let's zoom in. Now, that red line is the expiration. Remember, I want this stock to stay up above a certain amount over the next really week or two. I go out and I choose an expiration 21 to 45 days away. It was the third week of June. I picked the July option. Now, here's the cool part. I open up an option chain, whether it's in my broker, whether it's in our Options Pro software, and I see that I have a lot of different strikes. If I sold a $75 strike, this stock is 76 bucks, it gives me a 56% chance of winning. Not bad. If I sell a 72.50, it gives me a 73% chance of winning. Remember, because the stock has to stay above that price for you to make money. And as you go lower and lower, you're giving it a lot more room to work with, right? Now, if I choose 70, it gives me a 91% chance of winning. Now, let me ask you guys a question. Be honest. Be honest with me. Knowing nothing else about options, if I said you can be 56% right, 73% right, or 91% right, how right would you want to be? How right would you want to be? Be honest. Knowing nothing else about options or trading, do you want to be 56% right, 73% right, or 91% right? Well, of course, you want to be 91% right, right? You'd want to be 91% correct. That's what you'd want, right? Exactly. John and Oscar, you want to be 91%. Now, some of you picked the other ones, and I know what you're thinking, and you're thinking on the right track, but a lot of people would choose that 91%. The problem is this. With that trade at 91%, I might be able to make, let's say, $1,000 bucks. But if I lose, I'm going to lose $3,000. So if I win, okay, if I win, actually, I'm sorry, that's a little bit rough. If let's say I win 9 times, I might make 900 bucks. But if I lose once, I'm going to give back all of my gain. By the way, when I originally typed in 1,000 and 3,000, you're never going to get that at 91%. That's the kind of trade that you would get at 73%, by the way. Okay? This is what happens if you become too focused on probability. You're going to get those trades where you might make 100, but one loss is going to wipe out 9 or 10 wins. The correct answer here is 73%. 56% doesn't give me enough chance to win. 73% does. And it provides me a trade where I might be able to make, let's say, 500 bucks and only risk, let's say, 600. Okay? That's the key. That's the key. So this trade that I actually took, by the way, I sold a $73 put and I bought a 70 at the same time. Now what that did, as long as the stock stayed above $73, I win. It's as simple as that. Now, this trade is called a bull put spread. I love the name of it. Bull, because you do it when you're bullish. Puts, because you use puts. Spread, because I'm trading two options that have a $3 spread between them, 73 and 70. It's a bull put spread. Now, in the case of Pulte, the stock jumped up, and over 3 days later, I was able to make my predetermined profit target. Okay? Now, as a general rule, I'm looking to make right around $750 to $800 on my typical trade. That's what I'm looking for profits. This trade right here hit that in 3 days. I actually made a little bit more than that. Now, when the market's bearish, I flip the script. Okay? I place bearish trades. So Target's a good example of this. Target's been beaten down all year. Well, early May, the market was in a down direction. I was looking for stocks that were already moving down. Target was one of them. All right? So the stock is currently at $130.93. I'm going to sell an option, that's July, because that's between 21 and 45 days away. Now, when I look at the option chain, I've got a couple different choices here. I can sell one that has a 64% probability of winning. I can sell one that has a 76% probability of winning, or I can sell one that has an 85% chance of winning. Let me ask you a question. Which one would you sell? A, B, or C? Type that into the chat window. A, B, or C? Which one would you want to sell here? All right. A lot of folks saying C. Some of you are saying A still. Remember, A's got risk. That's that trade where you can, make 100 bucks but lose 800 or 900. So you got to be careful on that one. All right. Now, for those of you that are saying B or C, you're correct. Okay? If I sold the C, that's going to give me a 64% chance of winning. That's good. However, remember earlier when I told you that overpriced options can give me a better chance of success? Target was extremely overpriced. So normally, where I would sell a 64% option, I was able to sell one at 76%. I have a 76% chance of winning and a 24% chance of losing. All because the options were extremely overpriced. So this trade, I took it, I sold a $140 call, and I bought a 145 as protection. Now, when the market is bearish and the stock is bearish, we're going to do something called a bear call spread. And again, the name is beautiful. Bearish because the market's bearish. Calls because we use calls, and spread because we're doing two options that have a $5 difference in price. Okay? That's the beauty. Now, in this, 7 to 10 days, this happened to happen 7 days later, right? And the stock didn't exactly go down a lot. The stock went down from like 131 down to like 126. And the stock actually kind of stuttered and flopped around a little bit. But there I am. In 7 trading days, $765 in profits. Okay? That's the idea. Now, another client I worked with is Jim. Prior to working with me, he told me his results were inconsistent and he felt very unsatisfied. He kept thinking there had to be something else out there that must be better. You ever felt that way? Like there's something more out there? He said he wanted a way to supplement what he was doing and provide a more regular income at a higher probability of success. He said after he learned the system of being an option seller, he told me he had 21 winners in a row. That's great. And returned 76% in about 8 months. And his average trade lasted only 8 days. Can you imagine how that must feel to going from inconsistent to where now you have a big winning streak like that and you're generating that type of income? Now let me ask you a question. Share with me in the chat window. If you were able to implement a system that showed you some of the returns that some of my clients actually got, not just me telling you this, but results that my clients actually achieved, what would that allow you to do in your life? What kind of things could you do? Retire early, pay off bills, pay off your mortgage, okay? Maybe not pay it all off in one stroke because this is not a get rich quick scheme, but pay things off sooner, right? And there you go. Yep, I see. Pay things off sooner. Wow, I must have been reading your mind. Travel more, play more golf, right? I like it. You guys have some good ideas. Buy another car. I like that. My wife doesn't like that. I just bought a Tesla, and my wife hates that. She hates when I buy new cars. I always get that thing. Your car payment's more than my first house payment. I'm like, well, I'm sorry. We live in Ohio. Houses were cheap back then. It's not like that anymore. Okay. All right. So think of those good things that you can accomplish. Now, to do this, I said before that buying is gambling and selling is about controlling risk and putting the odds of success in your favor. That's how you generate income. The options paycheck system makes sure that you have a guaranteed maximum loss. And it all goes back to that whole gambler casino analogy. Keep in mind, the casino or the house always wins in the end. Okay? Becoming an option seller, this is the path of consistent income production each month. It allows you to do it safer and with a higher probability of success. Safer than just buying and selling stocks outright. Now, I want to put all this together. I want to show you how you can have that bulletproof system, which you can do in as little as 15 minutes a day. Now, my students who've implemented this system have told me this is the most important thing they learned. And why? Because people always ask me, well, how much time is this going to take? Is this going to be a second job for me? And it's a good question. Well, here's a challenge for you. There's thousands of stocks out there. You got to know how to find and pick the right stock, the right strategy, when you get in, what expiration, what strike prices, what do you do if it goes against you, all these things. And when you talk about that, people are saying like, oh, Ron, it's like finding a needle in a haystack. There's so much information out there. What do you look at? Or they spend hours researching trades, going from guru to guru, looking for advice. Ultimately, without a system in place, you're trading blindly. You're like a mouse running through a maze, bumping into wall after wall. You don't know where to go. It's stressful. It's disheartening. But with the right system, you can identify good trades, get reliable income in as little as 15 minutes a day. But it's got to be a system, not just any system. A straight line system, a simple way to know when to place your trades, how to find your trades, how do you set them up, and how do you manage them. So I want to walk you through the pieces of the options paycheck system in the order they go in. No one else teaches option selling this way. It's like a secret sauce. There's 6 pieces, the top 5 build each other, and the 6th kind of ties everything all together. We start with market direction. Okay? We are only going to trade bullish or bearish. That's it. If the market is overall up, we trade bullish. Like right now, the market is bearish, so I'm trading bearish. I have a lot of bearish positions on. Okay? Once we know the market direction, then we can start looking for stocks. And again, we're looking for stocks that are already moving in the direction of the market. So don't just trade the stocks you know or listen to CNBC. All right? We're going to use 2 methods to find good stocks: fundamentals and trend analysis. Now, our paycheck system saves a lot of time with this. We have pre-built searches on our VectorVest platform. That way, you can get results instantly instead of digging through a ton of data that the institutions throw at you. Now, once we find the stock, we got to start talking about the options. Now, not every stock is going to be a good income trade. We got to find the options that have the right volatility. Okay, that's going to help us put together these low risk, high probability trades. But to stack probability even further on our side, I want to make sure that there's no earnings coming up. Earnings are a huge, 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 crazy thing, right? The market's down right now. I don't know if you guys know this, but Netflix just had earnings tonight and the stock is up like $50 a share. Well, if you were bearish on Netflix, now all of a sudden earnings comes out and the stock's up $50, that's a problem. So we want to make sure that earnings are not a part of what we do. We also want to make sure the expiration's right. So we have these high probability trades where we don't have to wait for 6 months for them to work. Then we got to set up the trade. We're going to set the trades up using probability, at least a 60% chance of winning. How do we know that? Based on the strike. Every strike price of an option has a probability percentage. And then we have to base that selection on the right risk and reward. I can't just go out there and say, I want a 90% chance of success. I can't just go out there and say I want a 60% chance of success. I have to look at what the risk and the reward is on that trade. It doesn't matter how right you are if every winning trade makes $100 and every loser loses 4 grand. You got to know the risk reward up front. Okay? Now, once you have all of this together, you need to know before you place the trade, what do you do if the trade goes for you or against you? When do you get out? I don't want you sitting in a trade feeling frozen like a deer in the headlights because you don't know what to do. Our options paycheck system has rules to take profits at predefined levels. This can be set up in advance with your broker. And if a trade goes against you, a simple adjustment strategy which brings in more income and reduces your overall losses. And you'll know when to exit a trade if it goes against you. And a lot of brokers, you can actually set that up ahead of time. I have this happen all the time. My winning trades, I get an alert that says, hey, we're out. Congratulations. If I have a loser, I get an alert that says, hey, you're out. I took a loss. I can make this pretty easy with the right broker. And then last but not least, a tool for speed and efficiency, because you want to do this quick, right? You don't want to be spending all day on this. So you need tools that allow you to do these things, and it should be something you're comfortable using. Now, some brokers have great tools. I happen to use Fidelity, I use Thinkorswim, and I use Interactive Brokers the most. I don't really use Interactive Brokers much anymore. But there's a lot of paid tools that are very effective, like VectorVest Defined Stocks, our Options Pro software, which can set these trades up with seconds. And that's really what one of our clients, Hugh, had said, right? We talked earlier about Mike and Jim, and they're getting those results in about 15 minutes a day. Well, so is Hugh. He told me that one of his biggest struggles was not only finding a system that worked, but was efficient. He didn't want to be spending all day on the process. He wanted to have that proper work-life balance. Are you like that too? Spending all your time doing things you don't want to do and then not enough time doing the things you want? Now that Hugh learned the options paycheck system of selling options, he has more confidence, more free time, and he's able to have more fun. He said in his first 43 trades, he had 38 winners and returned over $26,000 in 4 months. So I want to do this with you. I want you to take your pen. I want you to put a little star next to the part of your system where you're good. So for example, if you have a quick way to find a list of stocks that's likely to go in the direction of the market, put a star there. You have a strength. But if there's an area where you don't know what to do or you still need to work on it, put a frowny face. So if you've traded options before, but you don't know how to set up a proper income trade, maybe option selection and trade setup are weaknesses. Maybe you've done this before, but your winners are not outpacing your losses. Maybe that's a trade management issue. Okay? Don't overthink it. I'm going to give you about 15 seconds, and I want you guys to fill in your strengths and your weaknesses. All right. Now share with me, what areas do you need to work on? Listen, I bet only 1 in 100 investors will ever know this. What areas do you need to work on? I see a lot of all of them, option selection. I need to learn market direction better. Options. Okay, a lot of options. I see one speed, all of them Oscar. Mike, you're saying anything from options down. Okay, because you're new options trading. I get it. All of them. Top 3 I need to work on. Well, if you need to do the top 3, probably need to do the bottom ones too, but that's okay. The objective here is this. You know your weaknesses. You know what you have to work on. My goal is to get you to have stars all the way down because once you do, you'll be on the path to generating income and you'll be able to do it in less than 15 minutes a day. So listen, I can't know the exact reason for coming to today's webinar, but I'm going to make a few educated guesses here. Maybe you don't really know what to do and you feel like you've been trading blindly, bumping from one wall into the next. It's leaving you with inconsistent results. You make a little bit of money, you give it all back on your next trade. Kind of like what Jim said his results were before he learned the paycheck system. Maybe you're just having a lot of small losses that are killing your portfolio. It's depleting your savings. Money coming in is not exceeding the money going out. Ultimately, maybe you're just not where you want to be. Now, today, I showed you the steps to fixing that. And again, it's a secret that I bet only 1 in 100 investors will ever know. And now you're on the path to being one of them. I showed you that being an option seller, it's possible to win even if you're wrong. That if you do it right with the spreads, you can do it with very little risk, even less risk than buying or selling stocks. And you saw the system to get consistent income every month. Now, I showed you just a few of the many, many people who use the system every day so they never have to worry about retirement again. You saw over and over the secret to generating consistent income is that shift from being the gambler to being the casino. Now remember, you're going to be that one investor out of 100 who knows this secret. That means there's 99 other investors out there who will continue to do things wrong. They're going to be buying options and making all those mistakes we talked about. Now, we can't stop them from doing it. There's always going to be those investors out there. Let them be the gamblers. As long as there's those gamblers out there, you may as well be the casino, because remember that old saying, the house always wins in the end. The options paycheck teaches you how to stack the probability of success in your favor, just like Brian learned how to do, and Bruce, and Bob, and Jim, and Hugh, and John. Now, if you're like most people, you're wondering, okay, well, how do I implement the paycheck system in my portfolio? Well, you have a choice. Option number one is you can choose to do nothing. Stay exactly where you are right now. And listen, if you already have enough money to retire and you're not really worried about running out of money, then you don't need the system. That's great. I applaud you. But if you still want to make some extra money every month, that leaves you with two other options. You can do it alone. You can try to learn how the option trades work, try to figure out the direction of the market, learn to analyze the stocks and find the best ones. And listen, if you're willing to put in the work and spend hours in front of your computer, willing to learn by trial and error, you might be able to pull it off. But the third option is to let us guide you through it. I'll walk you through each piece of the options paycheck system in just a few weeks. You'll have a simple system to follow that doesn't take a lot of time. So ask yourself, if you want to create additional income, what's the easiest path for you? You know, there's two types of people. Person number one is someone who dreams about their financial goals but never takes action or does anything to make it happen. The second person is someone who's serious about their financial future. You're ready to take action when you see an opportunity in front of you. Now, since you're dedicated enough to be with me to this point, I'm willing to bet you're person number two, and that makes you the perfect candidate to get started on your first options paycheck. So let me tell you what we put together for you. The Options Paycheck Experience is the most comprehensive program for generating consistent income using option spreads there is. Even if you've never traded options before, the Paycheck Experience is the only implementation program of its kind that not only teaches you how to find and generate consistent income with options, we show you exactly how to find, set up, and manage the spreads, how to do it safer and consistent. Any market condition, you'll never have that fear of running out of money. So after going through the experience, you're going to know exactly how calls and puts work, along with all the fancy terms you need to know, so you no longer have the fear of options. You're going to have clear signals telling you whether to place bullish or bearish trades and when to place no trade. You're going to be able to quickly identify the stocks that make the best candidates for your option trades using a very simple rules-based approach, and this frees up a ton of time. We're going to set up income trades that give you a statistical probability of a 70% or better success rate. Again, even if you've never traded options before. You're going to have a trade management game plan in place prior to placing your trade. That way you know how to handle any situation the market throws at you. We're going to show you how to confidently enter and exit trades with your broker, whether you've never traded an option before or you have options experience. You're going to learn to implement a system that's going to safely and consistently generate income, so you'll never have that fear of running out of money. Now, the course is 8 modules, and we made each module so they build on the one prior. As you go through the modules, you're getting closer and closer to the end, and that end goal is that system for consistent income. The first 2 modules are what we call the Options Income Foundation. A lot of people try to build a successful income portfolio, but they base the portfolio on a weak foundation of knowledge. We understand what it's like to learn options for the first time. We've been there. That's why it pays to learn from a team who's gone through this before. The outcome you get in Module 1 is you're going to know exactly how calls and puts work so you can confidently use them in your trades. You're going to know which terms to pay attention to, which to ignore. That way you're not wasting your time or getting frustrated. In Module 2, you're going to learn what a spread is and how it works. You're going to be filled with confidence to start building your income system around these spreads and how we use them. Now that you've got that option income foundation built, we're going to start laying out the step-by-step system to placing these trades to generate those paychecks. Each step along the way stacks probability in your favor and reduces risk, and it all starts with knowing when to trade. You're going to get complete clarity on market trends. So instead of looking at all the possible trades, you're going to narrow your focus. You're going to know whether to place a bullish trade or a bearish trade, and even when not to trade. Now, after you know the direction of the market, we're going to work on finding stocks that are highly likely to move in that same direction. That's going to stack probability even more. The outcome here is you're going to know how to quickly find the best stocks and indexes to trade. That way you're getting the highest probability. Now that you got that list of stocks, it's time to narrow it down to the best options candidates. It's going to give you the highest probability for profits. By using the rules in this module, you're going to make sure that you're getting paid top dollar for your trade and making it so you can make money even if the stock goes nowhere. You're going to continue to stack probability and reduce risk in Module 6 by the way you set up your trade. You're going to make sure the trade has the perfect combination of risk and reward, and you're going to know exactly where to set your strikes. Where do you buy your insurance? Where do you sell the option? Everything you need to know. Great trades don't happen by accident. They happen because of careful planning and strategically setting them up correctly from the beginning. Now, you got your trade picked out? You ready to go? Module 7, we're going to teach you how to have the plan in place so you know when to exit the trade, not only to take profits, but to minimize losses. You will never be frozen like a deer in the headlights again. No matter what the market throws at you, you'll know how to react, and that's going to allow you to trade completely stress-free. And now that you found the best stock, you set up your low-risk, high-probability trade, you mapped out your management plan, it's time to place the trade. This module is going to break down the trade execution phase into simple, repeatable steps that you can commit to muscle memory. Now, we also include a checklist. That way you never miss a step. This is a mechanical rules-based approach. There's no guessing. When someone's first starting out, this checklist is like a comfort to them. It's like having a security blanket. That way you know you're doing everything right. We also, for those of you that use brokers, we know that can be intimidating. So in addition to video walkthroughs of some of the more popular brokers, we put together click-by-click directions for really the most popular options broker out there, Thinkorswim. Now, before we talk about the price of the course, I want to make this even more low risk for you. I've been doing this course now for about 8 years. I offer a 100% money back guarantee on the course. It's as simple as that. You can go through the entire course, and if you're not satisfied that we taught you how to profit using options, just let us know within a week at the end of the course, you get all your money back. It's completely no risk. The only caveat here is this. Give it your best effort. Come to the classes or watch the recordings. You can do it live with us. You can watch the recordings. I don't care. Do the assignments. Do the work. Because we know if you do, you'll see the results. If you don't actually do the class, you won't be eligible for the refund. Now, the reason why I have such a tight refund policy is because I only want to attract those who are incredibly excited to jump in, do the work, get the results. So to do that and attract those serious investors, when I make a tight refund policy like this, that's what I get. Now, this system, when you do it right, can average 3% per month. That's on average of 36% per year, and it doesn't take a lot of time to do this every week. I received this email from a client who took the course. Ron, I'm writing to thank you for teaching the Options Paycheck course. I took your class last fall and wanted you to know my results for the past 10 months. I keep a journal to document every trade. So far, I've profited on 239 trades out of the 350 I've taken, a 68% winning rate. Profited over $100,000 in this time. What's more exciting is that since my knowledge and experience have grown in regards to taking really good risk-reward trades, I've profited over $50,000 in the last 6 weeks. My success rate has been 78% over my last 100 trades, and I only take trades with a 2-to-1 or better risk-reward. Thank you for teaching this very simple but effective system. You know, if I told Joe that I'd give him 100 grand and only had to give me 2, think he'd take that trade? That's a good trade, right? Would you? I'm going to be making you a better offer here, as you're going to see in a second. But before I tell you any more about it, I want to point something out here. Understand that this is not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's not something where you should expect to become a millionaire in the next 24 hours. It's serious and requires some effort on your part to do it. So if you can't commit to it, then don't do it. It's not for you. It's for serious people who take their investing seriously, who are willing to put in the time to learn the system. So if you're serious about it and ready to jump in and do the work to get the results, then the Options Paycheck experience is perfect for you. Step-by-step training to go from option basics to a full, complete generating system. Just these training modules alone are worth the price of the course, but I've also tossed in a couple bonuses for you. Now, the first bonus is what we call the Mastery Package. We're going to give you module by module mastery sessions. Each week, we're going to have 2 live mastery sessions, one dedicated to each module. That's going to help you master the course material. It's an opportunity for us to meet live, go over the 2 modules we want you to do a week for the month of November, and then at the end of the week, I'll also have an additional live Q&A. That means you're going to have 3 live sessions a week, giving you plenty of opportunities to ask questions and get help. If you can't attend that, it's not a problem. We record it. You can also send me emails to our private dedicated email address. We're going to give you VectorVest and Options Pro software for the 2 months of the live course. That starts in November. That way you can test drive some of the best tools out there for this. Now, my favorite bonus is what we call the implementation month. In the month of December, you're going to get access to our live trading sessions. You're going to watch me find, select, set up, and place trades in real time. Plus, I'll show you how I manage my existing trades each week. This is a huge bonus. You're going to see the paycheck system in action, and you can follow along in your own account. I'm also going to hold live office hours twice a week. We're going to walk you through the system step by step in real time consistently. Our students in the past have said this was their favorite part of the course. Just watching the repetition of looking and placing these trades really helps cement the concepts and process for them. Now, I'm also going to give you access to our SPX paycheck system. If you think that finding stocks might be a little bit too much, we're going to teach you how to do this on the S&P 500. You're going to boil all of this down to one trade a week that takes you 15 minutes. It's got one rule set up, one profit and stop rule. We're going to give you live trading sessions in the month of December to implement this. It's simple. It's an easy trade that anybody can accomplish. My teammate Brian, he taught this to his 14-year-old daughter at the time, and she was able to do the trades. For a lot of my students, this is the main way they make their income. So, as a recap, with today's offer, you're going to get the complete options paycheck system, 8 training modules, videos, checklists, cheat sheets, quizzes, slides, everything you need, the bonus mastery package, the implementation month, the SPX paycheck. You're going to get access to VectorVest and Options Pro for November and December. The total value of that is $54.75. So here's the opportunity in front of you. I'm going to roll up my sleeves, work with a couple hundred people who are serious about generating income. And if you choose to be one of them, together we're going to create an income system in your portfolio, even if you've never had success with options. So if you want to join me and have me take you by the hand and help you install this into your portfolio, then instead of that $5,000, the early bird price for the course is only $12.95. To make it easier, I also have a 3-payment option. You can get started today for only $4.95 and then 2 additional installments of $4.95 30 days apart. However, since you spent about an hour with me today, here's what I want to do just for you that are attending. If you order this before the end of our live webinar, instead of $12.95, you can do it for $9.95. That means you get the full course, 1 year of access to the course, the mastery package, the implementation month, the 2 months in November and December of Options Pro and VectorVest for $9.95. Now that's only available for those of you that register before we finish up today. Once we finish, the price goes right back up to $12.95. So to order, just go to www.optionspaycheck.com. Now ask yourself, what's it going to cost you not to do this? How much money are you going to lose out by trying to learn by trial and error? How much potential profit are you going to miss out? How much time and energy are you going to spend by trying to do it on your own? And then ask yourself, how would things be different if you did it and it worked? You know, there's an old saying that the best time to plant an oak tree is 20 years ago, so you can be sitting under it now enjoying the shade. You know when the second best time is? It's today. It's not too late to begin to prepare yourself for retirement and learn how to generate income. This is one of those deciding days in your life. Is it going to be the day you decide to take action and set yourself up for secure retirement? Or is it the day you look back and say, dang it, I should have started it back then. I could have been doing this for a year already. I hope you don't regret the decision you make. Don't miss this opportunity. Finish off 23 in a good light and get yourself started for good income in 24. So again, www.optionspaycheck.com. Take advantage of that $9.95. It's available while we're on the live session. Don't wait. I don't want you to miss out. Now, before we get to the Q&A, I just want to cover a couple more things. I mentioned that the course is live in November and December. Well, when are the sessions and what happens if you miss one? Well, here's our schedule for November. The first class is on October 31st. It's our welcome class. That's also when registration closes. In the month of November, we want you to learn the system. Every week in November, I'd like you to concentrate on 2 modules. And then we're going to have mastery sessions. So you see November 1st, November 2nd, we have a mastery. Those are at 4:30 Eastern time. That's where we're going to discuss it. We're going to answer any questions you have, walk you through the assignments, do the quizzes with you. And then on Friday, we're going to have an open Q&A. And we're going to repeat that for the rest of the month of November. Learning the system in the month of November. Okay? Now, we have a lot of live curriculum. Don't be intimidated. Don't think you have to attend all these. Probably 40% of the clients that do the options paycheck, they just watch the recordings. I'm going to record all of this live stuff for you so you can watch it after we do it. It's not a big deal. Now, in December, we're going to start implementing. We're going to invite you to our live trading sessions. They're on Mondays at 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. I record those also, just in case you can't view them live. No big deal. And then on Wednesday night and Friday afternoon, we're going to do office hour session. We're going to look for trades in those sessions and talk about the trades we made. Wednesday night's cool, by the way, because for those of you that aren't available during the trading day, I'm going to show you on Wednesday nights how you can place orders for the next trading day to take trades. So you'll learn a lot in that one. So November and December, this is the live curriculum. And again, remember, if you can't attend the live events, not a big deal. I record everything. We post on our university site. You can watch the class then. Greg had a great comment that I want to share with you. He said, prior to the course, I struggled with knowing how to protect myself when the market was moving away from me, and I feared if I didn't fix it, I would lose more of my portfolio than I could afford to lose. After taking the options paycheck, I feel better prepared to trade and much more confident. In the first month, I made a net of $10,200 for my options income trading with 9 winners and 1 loser. I would absolutely recommend this course. It was well done, very educational and informative. It's an excellent educational opportunity that I'm thankful that I took advantage of. Don't let fear hold you back. You will make more in the first month than you pay to take the course. I was one of the fence sitters who didn't take this course for a long time when I saw it offered. I lost a lot by not taking the program sooner. I'm very grateful and appreciative of the work that was put into making this training program available. Now, another question we get a lot is, how much options experience do I need? As I mentioned earlier, I like working with beginners. You may take a little bit longer to get some of the basics down, but that's okay. We're going to be working with you for 2 months. Okay? We've polled our prior attendees, and 85% of them said you can be successful at this with little to no prior options experience. Don't take my word for it. 85% of the people that have taken this course said you can be successful with little to no prior options experience. This is just a few more of the people that have taken the course in the past. Cheryl, I'm surpassed my expectations. I don't need the money back guarantee. I tripled my investment. You've heard from Bruce. Frank, after taking the course, I've already have a profit of $7,300 before the course. It was a crapshoot. Now I believe in the options trades I'm doing. Cam said he made back the initial investment so many times over. Even though it's a small part of his portfolio, it's probably the most profitable. Hugh has already talked about. Jake, I finally found a method of making consistent winning trades with a high probability of success. So again, get out there, take advantage of that $9.95. Okay, get yourself registered. After the webinar, the price goes back to $12.95. Registration closes on October 31st. Get signed up. Okay? Some of our more recent graduates, by the way, Neville said, thanks for a wonderful course. Within a short time, you opened our eyes to many things. Your experience, enthusiasm, and your desire to teach comes through easily. You have put a lot of thought into the trading manual. Already paid for the tuition with a few Delta 35 SPX trades. David says the options paycheck experience is by far the best course I've ever attended in all my years with VectorVest since '99. You've eliminated my fear of trading options. The manner in which you presented the material is truly outstanding. Ben says the attention I received for all my email questions was above and beyond what I expected. A lot of my questions were demonstrated in class, which made my learning much easier. Great job. So again, get out there, www.optionspaycheck.com. You can give us a call, 888-658-7638. Get yourself signed up. Do me a favor. If you're signing up, if you know this is right for you, just give us a little shout out in the chat box and say, I'm in. We want to welcome you to the course and really just kind of detail the next steps. All right. What I'm going to do next, I'm going to bring in my colleague, Brian. Remember the one that taught this to his 14-year-old daughter at the time? If I'm not mistaken, Brian, I think your daughter's in college now, right? So we'll welcome Brian in there, and he'll work with us on the Q&A.
Yep, she was just home this weekend. She's in her 3rd year. So
nice. It's crazy. Brian and I are the same age. Brian has kids in college, and my oldest is 6. Some of us are late bloomers.
Or you make me feel old, though.
But we're the same age.
I know, but you're just so much younger, Ron. Anyway, let's see. So, Ron, great presentation. You got John and myself in the background here answering lots of questions and addressing lots of things. A lot of excitement, basically, in the chat. So, a quick reminder for everybody, the registration is open actually for the next couple of weeks. Before registration closes. But the cool thing is if you register early, not only do you get this discounted rate, but you could hop into the course tonight and start going through it, which a lot of people have already done. You can log in, start going through the training, taking notes, And some people actually, as Ron mentioned, start placing trades like next week. Some people just jump ahead to the simple module on trading the SPX. It's one of our bonus modules. That's something you could do. We've had some former students do the same thing. So if you join, you can get into the course tonight and start going through it, and maybe even knock out all the training this weekend if you wanted to. All right. So if you go to optionspaycheck.com and you click the register button at the top, then you will see that it says $995 down at it says webinar special. So just click on that and Ron is actually doing it with us. So if you go to optionspaycheck.com, you'll see a big button that says register today. When you click on that, it brings you down to the $995 webinar special. So just click on that. And if you already have a VectorVest username and password, just click the sign in button up at the top and put your username and password in, and it'll get you in to the discounted rate. Now, the only reason you'd have to fill in your first name and last name and all that is if you are brand new to VectorVest and you do not have a username and password yet. All right. So if you're signed up, welcome. Check your email. All the details will be in your email. If you find it in your junk, your spam folder, please just drag it over to your inbox and mark it as not spam. If you don't see your welcome email, then just give our team a call and we will help you out. We'll send it to you manually and double check your email to make sure we have it in there correctly. All right. Ron, there were questions. People were asking questions about the live session. There was a gentleman who said, "Did Ron say that the first class is in November?" So maybe if you just show that, I think you still have it there, the calendar again, and we can actually answer a few questions when you put that back up. I know you talked about a few of these, but since people were asking about the dates and everything, yes, the class. Ron will talk to you about this again. But while you do this, Ron, I know you made a big deal about this, but I think it's worth repeating. Does somebody need to attend every single live session to be successful?
They don't. Like I said, about 40% of the people we find that sign up for the course, they may attend one or two live sessions, but they pretty much do it based on the recordings that we have and then the recordings of these ones. So the way it works is all of the modules are already recorded. You can go out there, as Brian said, you can go to the university site, which we'll show you in a little bit, and you can watch all 8 modules right now if you want to. And then we have these mastery that are going to be live through November, and then in December, the live trading. So, you can watch all the modules right now. And then every week we just get together to talk about the concepts behind them and just review any questions you might have on them. So you don't need to come to the live events if you don't want to. We record all this stuff for you. So not important at all.
All right, next question. Great question from Mark. Mark brings up a good point that we do have, the $995 price is great, by the way. But Mark is one of an alumni of one of the other classes that we teach. So I'm going to mention 2 things about alumni and refresher pricing. Some of you on today's webinar have taken the options paycheck and you just came here just to kind of get an idea of what we've got going on again. If it's been over a year since you've taken the options paycheck course and you just want to get in there and do a refresher with us and go through all 2 months of the live sessions again, we do have a refresher rate. So instead of the $995, you can get it for $495. We would have either sent you an email or you could just call our office. It's we'll put the phone number in the chat. It's 888-658-7638. You can just call our office and ask for the refresher rate of $495. Now, Mark's question specifically is that he took we have a thing called the Income Challenge where Ron teaches just the SPX trade. We only run that once a year, but he took the Income Challenge. If you took the Income Challenge, you can get the course for $795. Hopefully it isn't too confusing for everybody else, but if you're here and you took Ron's Income Challenge, then you can get this course for $795. We would send you an email with a special link, or you could call our office. The phone number is in the chat, and just let them know that you took the Income Challenge and want to take the paycheck at the discount, and they'll help you out with that. Everybody else, the discount is $995. Now, you only have about 10 more minutes, and you'll see the little countdown timer that when the 10 minutes is up, it'll go back to $12.95. and then registration closes a couple weeks from now. All right. All right. Some other questions I see. I'm just looking out of the corner of my eye, a question, and they're mentioning a retirement account. Ron, people can trade this in their retirement account. Is that right?
Correct. Now, again, I'm not sitting here saying I guarantee that you'll be able to do it, but there are things called what's called a limited margin IRA. I actually do this with Fidelity. So in the US here, you have what's called a limited margin IRA. Okay. So I just Googled it real quick and you can kind of see Fidelity has it, SoFi, TD Ameritrade, all these things about, actively trading E-Trade and Motley Fool. So there are ways that you can do it. I do it every week in my Fidelity IRA. I know in Canada they have something called I think it's called an RRSP. You can't do it in there in Canada, but here in the States, as long as you have a limited margin IRA, it can be done in an IRA account.
All right, fabulous. Thank you, Ron. All right, so a few other questions. Ron, there were a couple of people who are new to options, and you addressed them throughout the session. But since they specifically were mentioning in the chat, like, hey, I am new to options. I'm a little bit confused right now about options. Is this course right for me? And I'll tell you some of the things I wrote to them in the chat, but I thought maybe you as the instructor could also address this as well. One of the things I did mention is, hey, we do have the money back guarantee, but when we put this course together, we took it from the lens of, hey, let's make it so that the first 2 modules teach options so that anybody could understand it. So we have great visuals, great explanations, explaining it from the ground up so somebody who is brand new could understand it after the first couple of modules in that foundation. And then they can go through the entire course with you for 2 months. And if they still feel like it's something that is beyond them, within 7 days after finishing the course, they could let us know. We'll give them all their money back. But we've got great feedback from former students that you actually had a stat there earlier where it was like 85% of them said that even people with little to no experience can be successful.
Mm-hmm.
But that's me talking. But you in the trenches with everybody, what would you say to somebody who is new, who's worried that this might be too much?
I would say that, listen, you have the money back guarantee, but like I said, I like working with beginners because I can teach you from the ground floor how to do this properly without a lot of risk. And I will tell you this, you may start off a little bit slow. You may at the end of the first 2 weeks be like, I don't know, I think I'm in over my head. But we've got 2 months to work together and we can do this. We can accomplish this goal even if you're a beginner. So we've tailored the course in the first part in the first couple of weeks to making sure that you've got the best chance of success. And I truly believe, along with all the all the surveys that we've done, that this really can be done by somebody that's new to options.
All right. The next question, Ron, deals with time to place the trades. Let's say they want to know how much time does it take to do this each week. So I guess you could take that 2 ways. Let's just take it from this way, where if somebody finishes the training, they learn everything that they need to learn from you. How much time does this take to actually find these trades and set them up and do all this whole system each week?
Well, it just depends on what tools you use. As long as you use a tool that is really adept at it, whether it's Options Pro from us or whether it's a broker like IB or Thinkorswim, it can take you probably a half hour to find up some trades. You don't have to trade every single day. I certainly don't. I do all of my income trading basically on Monday at 2 o'clock with my clients. I spend an hour a week looking for trades. That's what I do. And then Wednesday, I do some other trading with them that's not really my income trading. So even I only spend a couple hours a week trading. It's not something, and by the way, I mentioned that I traded commodities when I first started trading. I was a day trader. One of the reasons why I switched to options is because it's such a hands-off approach. I don't have to sit there and babysit my positions. I can put these trades on, put stops in place, put alerts in place, put targets in place, and I can just go on with my life. So it's not something that you're going to have to babysit. It really is more of a passive approach to trading.
All right. Now, I was answering this question from Kent in the chat. He and I were talking back and forth, but he's actually come to these seminars that you've done, and he did a great thing. He went out there and he tried to implement it. He was taking the things that he learned in these free sessions and going out there and trying to implement it. And I love what he did, Ron. He actually only did trades with one contract, and that's something we actually recommend to people who take the course, who are actually going out there and placing trades for real. It's a super low risk way to do these trades, and you still learn how, like, what it feels like to place these trades. So kudos to Kent for doing that.
Definitely.
But Kent had said, you know what, I'm not seeing the success that I had wanted, right? One thing that stood out to me was he said he had placed something in a 2-month stretch from August to October. He had placed, I'm trying to find it here, well over 100 trades. It was, I'm looking for it here. It was 108 trades in a 2-month stretch. So let me first ask you, Ron, about how many trades do you place per week?
Probably 5 to 7.
All right. So if somebody's placing 108, one of the things I told Kent was you might want to, if you go through the coursework that you teach, Ron, you're probably, the things that you do, you're probably a little bit more selective on the trades that you do, especially over the last couple of years. You've kind of ratcheted back and you're taking less and less risk on the trades, but your stock trades have actually done pretty well this year. Like, maybe not as well as they did in some of the years past, but you're still very positive throughout even this tough year that we've been in 2023, right?
Right. Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
So
I mean, that's part of it. There's
go
nothing
ahead.
wrong with taking that many trades as long as they're meeting the strong criteria of what you're looking for. You know, I try, and like I said, I look at trades every week. And as long as the market's in the right pattern, if I'm trading, now mind you, I only trade 1 day a week. So when I say, 5 to 8 trades a week, or maybe 5 to 10 trades, if I was trading 2 or 3 times a week, I might take more trades too. Now, I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. It may just be part of the selection process that you might need to wean down into higher probability opportunities. It might not be just the probability. There's a couple things that we teach, I think, in module 6 about probabilities, but then also looking at the actual graph of the stock, making sure it's giving you enough room to be wrong too, not just by probability. So you probably just need to tighten it up a little bit and maybe tighten up the risk reward a little bit. But I mean, I think you're on the right track. Now it's just a matter of like honing it down and getting it a little bit better.
Yeah, great feedback. And one of the other things I told Kent was the cool thing about the paycheck course is they get especially in the second month of the course, in the month of December, they'll be there with you during not only your mastery sessions, but they could either attend your coaching live or just watch the coaching recordings, and where you're actually going through the thought process, going through it and finding the trades, setting it up, deciding which is good and which isn't, and just following the step-by-step procedure that you teach in the paycheck. And they could actually see it done live. And anybody else who's never placed the trades, it actually builds that confidence that, wow, I'm actually watching someone do this step by step. And the more they watch it step by step, it just builds that confidence that they could do it the right way as well. So I told Kent, just come to the class, especially in the second month, and build that confidence. And now this might be unlikely, if at the end of those 2 months you still feel like it's a bad investment, let us know and you get all your money back. But I don't think he would do that, because it's going to be an awesome course. But that's one of the things I told him in the chat. Ron, you ready for 2 more questions?
I am.
And then I think these will be the last 2, and then we'll wrap up. By the way, folks, there's still like 30 seconds left on the countdown timer. If you go over there and you can get the $9.95 before we wrap up. So optionspaycheck.com. If you get there in the next 30 seconds, that $9.95 is still available. Terrence asks, how soon can we start trading?
Ultimately, you can start trading as soon as you feel comfortable with the material. I always say, listen, there's no rush. Take your time. The market's always going to be there for you. So make sure that you're comfortable with what you're doing. But we've had people that go right to that SPX paycheck and start implementing it right away. They watch the video a couple hours into it. They understand what the concepts are, and they go out and start placing the trades within the first couple weeks. I don't think you have to do that. I don't think you have to rush, but as soon as you're comfortable with it, you can start placing trades. My goal is to have everybody placing a trade in the month of December. That's what I would like to see, and that's my goal for you. But if you feel that you understand the concept, you want to send a trade opportunity to my way and just say, hey, Ron, am I reading this right? That's what we're here for over the next 2 months to help you with. So as soon as you feel comfortable, but my goal for everybody is December.
All right, last question is from John D. John says, if one enrolls in the course, are there any online brokers that you suggest over others?
I mean, I like Thinkorswim. Schwab owns them now. They're not TD Ameritrade anymore, but I do like Thinkorswim. They're a really good broker. Their software is fantastic. I like Interactive Brokers. They're pretty good. Their software is not quite as as nice as Thinkorswim, but they work really well. E-Trade works really well. Anything that you feel comfortable with, because brokers nowadays, everything's pretty much cheap commission. It's not like the old days where IB was the cheapest. Now everybody's basically the same price. So I like Thinkorswim. I like IB. I use Fidelity in one of my accounts. They work perfectly fine. So really, I'd still say that if in a perfect world, I'd have everybody using Thinkorswim. They should pay me for my product endorsement, but they don't, and that's okay because I don't want it.
I know, Ron. You should get a little incentive from those guys.
I know, right?
I'll put in a good word. All right, so that was actually it, Ron. So I'm gonna pass it over to you so you could wrap up for the night.
All right, great. I appreciate that, Brian, and thank you, John, also in the background. Well, and also thank you. Thank you for spending this, 90 minutes with me. I really appreciate it. It's nice to be able to share this with a lot of people. And I hope you made the decision to trust me for the next 2 months and really teach you how to implement this into your portfolio. So thanks once again for being with me this last 90 minutes, and I look forward to seeing you in November and December for the options paycheck, and where we're going to teach you how to get a great income system going for 2024. So thanks again, everybody, and have a great evening, and hopefully see you all in a couple of weeks when the live curriculum starts. Take care, everyone.